public meeting was called to order at 7 PM. Okay. And Jim, you would take a present, who was here? Roll call.
Mr. Kozak,
Here?
Mr. Hamel,
Present.
Mr. Sylvia,
Present.
Ms. McCarthy,
Here.
Mr. Gibbs. Here. Ms. Reardon,
Here.
Ms. White.
Here.
Okay, beautiful, okay. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hold on just a second, I'll get
Okay,
the mic turned on at the podium.
all right.
Ooh, sorry.
Jim, do you want to speak to the applicant? Yeah.
No, maybe he'll
Or do you
do it.
want me to?
You can.
Okay. Our plan was tonight, because we don't have all the paperwork in, just to have a short meeting, and we're going to continue it till September.
Jack,
You don't have all the paperwork in that we requested.
Jack,
Yeah.
you should first open the public hearing.
Okay, all right. Let's open the public hearing for Daniel Farah of Newton, New Hampshire. Okay. Yeah, all the paperwork has not been given to our secretary. What are we missing, Jim?
Copy of the revised septic plans, copy of the foundation permit and any inspection notes, copies of the foundation certification, and a soil scientist review of the edge of the wetlands.
Yeah. And Jim, what don't we have?
I have the foundation certification, copy as was asked for of the permits for that, and a septic plan that I'm not certain is the newest.
And so we're missing the soil sample?
The soil, yes.
Well, he never did a soil test. He just did the, copy of the wetlands. I think we were supposed to give you these earlier,
Oh,
but I have one for everybody. There's the new septic location, the certification of the foundation, and the old certification of the, you see the difference between the two.
Could you please go to the podium so that we can hear what you're saying?
Sorry, I just gave him a copy of the new, with the septic plan and the new certified thing of the, where the wetlands is. And the old ones, you can see the difference from when he went out and did the,
Is the soil sample in there also?
he never did a soil sample, like, full test.
Okay. And that was one of the requirements.
Oh, I thought
The
we had
soil
talked about it
scientist-
was just the
So it
location of
says-
the wetlands. I didn't know we had to do a whole
Soil
entire.
scientist review of edge of wetlands.
Okay. It
Copy
is-
of the
I'm
foundation,
sorry.
revised septic plan.
I wasn't told we
I
had
don't
to do
have
a
a-
soil test.
I don't see that, but
So that we requested a soil scientist review of the edge of the wetlands. Was that done?
Yep,
Do we have a report?
yep. I have a copy for you if you want it.
Yeah, well, it was supposed to be in so that we would have had a chance to review it before this evening.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't. I did
We,
not.
I mean, we made that very clear at the last meeting.
So- Well, I think it's the best thing for us, at least here, to go to next month, because we haven't had a chance to review anything. None of us have.
Do we have everything over there that we're waiting for?
Jim,
I think you should have everything.
Yeah,
we have a revised septic plan?
Yes.
yeah.
You want me to give you one?
I just want to run it through Jim. I appreciate it.
Oh,
there's a foundation certification plan,
We saw that, right?
actually two
We saw that.
copies,
Okay.
The foundations.
and there's a septic plan design, and I'm gonna have to look at the two because the numbers are not 100% in agreement.
Well, the septic location's not changing, just so you know. That was just a revised version because the foundation had moved.
The foundation moved?
Digest that.
I mean, where the foundation was put, it was off by.
Oh, from that 17th, or what?
Yeah, so the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's,
we've already talked to the
sure that we
state.
have
At least circle.
The guy did the septic.
all the boxes checked first before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly think that board members deserve to see these and be able to look at them.
But Jim, the question is, do we need,
We have everything, so,
do we need Mr. Ferrara to provide any additional material in addition to what he gave you tonight?
right.
Is everything that he's given you tonight the information that we asked for last month?
There is no soil scientist.
But that wasn't, I wasn't told we needed to do a soil test.
Yes, you were.
Yeah, I actually read it.
Yeah, that was,
So that's the soil scientist reviews of the edge of the wetlands that we're looking for, that we don't
Right.
have?
No, he did the edge of the wetlands, he just didn't do whatever it is.
Well,
you
who did the edge of wetlands? It needs to be a soil scientist who
It
does
was.
the edge of wetlands.
say. It was.
Oh, well, so then it was done. Or are you saying,
one is stamped by a designer of subsurface disposal systems, and the same person has a stamp for, he's a licensed land surveyor, but there's nothing here from a
Soil science.
certified soil
It has
scientist.
to be a
right, that-
soil investigation and a copy plan with you and conservation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has conservation seen these plans?
No, we haven't seen anything. We did a site walk. Mr. Ferrera knew about the site walk, and we had some issues. But again, when we talked, he said everything, would be able to see everything at the ZBA meeting. So
Yeah.
we didn't see anything. We walked. We know what's wrong, what needs to be corrected. Clearly, whoever did his excavation didn't pay attention because there's wetlands violations there, but we're willing to work with them on that. But we need to see, according to our ordinances, we need to see a soil investigation on file with the Conservation Commission.
We need, well, there need to be copies for the board members.
Here,
I made a bunch.
He said he made them. Did you bring them?
Yeah, they were here.
pardon me?
So he said he brought copies, but do you want us not to talk about it today? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
I needed 8 copies of each.
Okay, I have them all.
Okay,
I made a packet for everybody of those 3.
yeah. I believe the board could probably make an informed decision with these documents, but I think you're gonna need to spend some time looking at them.
Yeah, under the circumstances, Jim, I'm gonna look for somebody to make a motion that we postpone this hearing till
yeah,
September.
well.
But he's late getting the forms
Before
in.
we do
Before we
that,
do.
I just want to make sure
I agree with
that
Roger.
at that point,
Can we
we're
do a-
going to have everything we need.
Yeah,
And make sure that
Do a
Mr.
review
Ferrara
of
knows.
these now?
No,
And then,
I don't want to.
no, just a quick review and look at it, and just to make sure that we know that we have what we need.
Well, yeah, you can look at them to see what we need, but I need some time to look at them before we
Yes.
start to, before we close the public hearing, I need some time to
I
study
agree,
them.
I agree.
But yeah, we can, take a quick look at them to see if we have additional questions that he'll have to get more information before the next
That's
meeting.
kind of where I was getting at.
Right, and
yeah.
I agree with Roger. I don't want him to have to come back. I want to make sure that all the ducks are in a row for his sake.
Yeah.
As well as ours. So I think that's what you were saying, Roger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to wait for Jim to review those and make a decision there.
Okay.
What was the soil?
Mr. Chair?
What was the soil size?
Yes,
Mr.
Barbara?
Chair?
Well, he said he has the additional copies there.
Wait 1 minute, Barbara.
Sure.
Okay, so now,
Yeah, so one of those was the original, and one of them was the,
no, they're both dated the same day.
His paperwork.
By the same person. Whereas on this one, it says that it's 90 feet. So I,
But obviously, the edge of wetland is different. I mean, where it is different on these two plans.
Very different.
Yes.
No, I gave you an old one when I first came to this meeting, and then I gave you the new one that was updated.
No, the two that you gave him tonight
Yeah.
are different.
Yes, one's the old one.
But they're the same date.
One's the one from when I came here the first time, and the second one is after they did the,
That looks
But they're the
different,
same date.
that one.
yeah, I printed them.
See?
They got the same
This
date
was
on
the
them.
original one I brought here.
this would be
And then
because,
after he did this.
Oh, okay, so, here it is.
So he-
Oh,
Flags.
oh, this is revision two.
627. Okay,
I
all right.
apologize. I just wanted you to see the difference.
Okay,
Should have a-
That's all, because this is how it was, and then this is after the soil guy went over
Okay.
and did his little
No,
flags.
Frank, here's the date of the change.
okay, so this is the updated one.
so take
Let's not look at
this.
that. Oh, I'm sorry, Ann, it's okay.
and look, 7/31/2023.
Okay.
So
Right,
that's,
right, that's
and
what I
that's
was
the
looking for.
proposed, and so that's the new location of it. So that's the original, and this
That's,
is the new,
right, that's proposed, that's,
that's real.
right.
That
So
should be
that's the
this.
old one. No, this is that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Okay.
But the wetland should have been revised on this one too.
So, but, okay,
And that's 731.
This is 7/31,
John,
but one of the,
that's 7/24, this is 7/31, so that was before
Mr.
this.
Ferrera, one of the things that I asked for, which I don't see here, is what did you go to the building department with to get a foundation permit for?
I have that paperwork,
Oh,
but I did not send it out because I didn't have anything to go with it.
okay. Because what does that look like?
It's the application for a foundation.
But
he
in
wanted
terms
to
of where the building is, because I mean, the difference, this building is way different than that building.
Well, exactly, and that's why the idea was you were
So I want to know what the other one that you
What
have
it
in
gonna
your
prove
file.
to be,
it looks more like that than that.
And,
However, I need to be able to, because what I have is, it's similar to what, the same size as the drawing you have in your packet.
see, these dates don't line up. What's the date of this one?
724.
7/24.
This one's 7/31, and it doesn't have the updates that that paper has. They have, all these things should be matching, especially that where it's done after that one.
And that's for the septic
See,
system,
that's got
right?
28 feet, this has got 90 feet. They don't match. And this was revised after that plan was made.
By the same person? Is it
Yeah,
done?
yeah, I looked that up.
Okay,
Yep, same drawer. This is where they make all the money,
yeah, I know it.
the engineers. They do that purposely, I think.
I don't disagree with you, Frank. I don't disagree with you at all on that one, Frank.
Hey,
Well, you know, they make a percentage of the job, so every time they gotta make a change,
every time, yeah.
cha-ching.
So would the board like me to get copies from Mr. Ferrara, combine them with?
Everything you have, because we want to compare it all.
Right, the board asked me to find out what the building department had as far as permits and
approved.
inspections. So I have that paperwork in the file in the office. So I can print that out, I can print you everybody a copy of that, plus combine all of these into a board packet. That's why you didn't get anything out of it.
With the soil scientist stamp plan.
That's the one document that we still need.
That we don't have, okay.
Right.
What'd you say about the dates on line?
So the dates, that one says,
One says 7/24.
Yeah.
This one says 7/31.
It's revised on that set of plans, but the dates, the pictures don't look the same.
and some of the measurements aren't
Yeah,
the same, is that right?
measurements are not the same.
So it looks like they updated the wetland line on this plan right here. Okay?
Yeah.
And then after they did that, it looks like they revised this septic plan, but it doesn't, the measurements of the new building as well as the wetland lines don't
Match that.
jive with this plan. You know what I'm saying? So these two plans, looking at them, should be
Should be the same, but
almost
they're not.
identical. I mean, with
Okay.
the addition of the topography on this one.
Yeah,
You know.
There's different detail, but the things
Correct.
that, the
But
things that are the same should be the
The
same.
numbers should be the same, the wetland line should be the same, and it's not. And I think that's why we need that, the soil scientist's review of the edge of wetlands plot.
Mm-hmm.
And then that needs to be transferred to both plans.
Can I ask Mr. Ferrara a question, going through the chair? Is that okay?
Sorry, where's your?
Can she ask
Jack?
Mr. Ferrera a check? a
Can I just
question?
ask?
Sure, go right ahead.
So, when we were talking on the phone, I thought you said that there were soil results or from an investigation that was done before you even started construction, and you thought it was in the building file, or did I misunderstand what you were saying?
Yeah, I never.
Okay, it was me then, okay. Because I thought you said, can I use the old ones that I already have? And I said, if it's a soil scientist, do you remember that? Okay, all right.
Is there a foundation drain on the new foundation? Yes. It's not on that plan.
And
says
there is
no.
one, I saw it when we went there, yep.
It's not designed with a foundation,
Can I see that?
perimeter drain.
We definitely need a.
Okay, yeah, well, let's make
Okay.
sure we get all ducks in a row.
And that's all I
Right, yeah.
It would show, yeah. So it's coming out right here.
Can we
It is going into
not
the
have private
wetlands.
conversations,
And
please?
Conservation made a comment.
I got my mic
So the
on.
gutters don't go in there, because they're not supposed to.
There should be only one conversation at the table at a time.
Yes.
Sorry,
There.
sorry, Roger. Mary, did you want to see this?
These numbers are different
than the other one.
on the other one.
So on that plan, I think what Frank was trying to say is that on the top of it, it says that there's no foundation drain. And when conservation was there, there is one and it's in the proper place. It is draining into the wetlands, which is okay, as long as the gutters don't drain into it. And we put that on our results of our conservation site walk, which I'll give Mr. Ferrara a copy. But we did notice it, so it is there, so that also was wrong on this plan. That there are foundation drains, but they're not listed.
Do new foundations need a foundation drain? Is that a rule or a law?
You put it,
I
you're
think-
supposed to be installing what's on the plan.
Right.
It says no, there's none designed on the plan. If it was, it would show you where to put the foundation pipe,
I mean, yeah,
where it exits.
90.
And the soil, it's really, it's no, but it's based on, it's, yeah, it's just not designed for
And
that,
I was just looking at the
you know?
plans.
And a soil scientist would make comments probably about that depending on the soil consistency as well. Can he have that back?
Jack, this is Barbara. Can I make a comment?
Go right ahead, yes, Ms. White.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Ms.
Yes.
White.
Okay, great. All right. My suggestion is going to be to give Mr. Ferrara a specific date that he needs to have the soil scientist review in to the administrative assistant, so he has enough time to distribute it to the board so that they can look at it for that piece of the paperwork that's necessary. And I seem to remember that he was going to do a lot line adjustment, so that probably would be needed to be given to the administrative assistant at the same time, so that he knows that he's supposed to get his paperwork into the administrative assistant, who will have time to give it to the board in time so that they can review it. Because we've never had a procedure where somebody would just bring something new in at the meeting and you look at it and then you vote on that. The board is supposed to have time to be able to review everything, and if they have more questions, they're supposed to have the time to be able to do that. Thank you.
Okay.
That's basically what you said.
And that date would be the 28th of August, 2023 at noon.
I don't think he heard you, Jim.
I was never asked to do a lot line adjustment.
I believe
No,
that,
you mentioned that that
It
might
was
be
a
a solution when we were talking about you're too close to the line. You didn't offer to do one.
Joke to this guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what.
That wasn't really the big topic at the last meeting, because
All right, if you're going to make comments, please make them at the podium so that it goes on the record.
I did not know I was asked to do a lot line adjustment. It was more of a joke that I was making my brother-in-law, but if I have to,
I didn't take it that
No,
way.
you were not asked
Right.
to do one.
Right, but if you don't get the variance to the lot line, you'll have to cut the foundation and add it on the other end.
we're obviously going to have no problem with it at all. I mean,
Yeah.
We don't care if our house is over 150 feet from their foundation, so I don't care if they're 25 feet from our lot line or if they're 4 inches from our lot line. It's whatever the town allows, or if it requires a variance, we're happy to sign off on anything we need to for the 4 feet.
Again, I'd ask that you make, if you're going to make comments, please make them from the podium.
you can do it.
And could you
I
can you
apologize.
identify yourself, please?
My name is Bill Toohey. I'm a butter to Mr. Ferrara's property. If, as far as the lot line adjustment or the variance, whatever is needed to allow him to encroach within the minimum 15 feet, we're fine with signing a waiver or whatever that allows him to be within the minimum requirements from our lot line. We have no problem with that whatsoever. Because our house is 75 plus feet from the lot line, so the houses aren't even close.
Right.
So it's more of a formality, whether whatever's the easiest solution, we're fine with just allowing him to be 12 feet instead of 15 feet from the line.
Okay, well, at this point, what we have before us is an equitable waiver. If that equitable waiver is not allowed, then that might be he would have to do a new filing, and that would be one of the options that that he could ask for. He could either ask for a variance, he could ask for a lot line adjustment. That if he does not get the equitable waiver, then he has other options
Sure.
of which way to go.
Again, and I'm just.
But at this point, I think we're just going to address whether or not he is entitled to get an equitable waiver.
And pardon my ignorance, because this isn't all new to me. What do you mean, what does the term equitable waiver mean?
Okay, that basically means that the foundation was put in and there was a mistake made in the measurements. And that's why, rather than making him tear it out, it would be allowed. And that's why we were asking about what was originally approved is, I want to know, if a mistake was made, I want to know who made the mistake and how it was made.
It was me. We thought we were going off the pin that we thought was in the right spot. We actually ran a string from pin to pin and measured off it, and that's where we started. So I'm 50% at fault. I'll be the first to admit it. Again, the only reason why I brought up is Ms. White mentioned about the lot line adjustments, and I just don't want to cause any more delays for Mr. Ferrara. You know, at the next meeting, it's like, okay, well, what about the lot line adjustment? It's like, well, let's want to make sure we're all on the same page as far as the lot line goes. I know the whole wetland thing is a different issue.
Right.
I just want to make sure that everyone's aware, we don't care what we have to do as far as the lot line is concerned. Whatever's the easiest, quickest, cheapest, my wife and I are willing to sign anything we need.
Okay, I mean, I think in terms of moving the process forward, what we need to do is first address the equitable waiver. And then once a decision is made on that, then Mr. Ferrara has to decide which way he wants to go to move forward from there. So it looks like this may be a multi-stepped process that we're going to have to go through. And there's no real quick way to get there, other than to, if the question of the sideline, I mean, if he wanted to withdraw that and then come in next month with a lot line. Otherwise, it's going to be next month where we'll decide whether or not we're going to allow the equitable waiver. And then it would be another month or 2 months after that.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
No.
I understand, but I guess I don't understand why it's such a drawn-out process
Well,
for a lot line adjustment if
No,
where the owner is saying that we're okay with him being 4 feet within the guidelines of the town. Again, bear my ignorance if I don't know
the lot
the...
line adjustment even doesn't come to us. It goes to the planning board.
Right?
So if that is one of the ways in which you want to address the problem, then you would make a application to the planning board to move the lot line. And then that would sort of take care of the problem of the side yard. And if you do that, you would withdraw the equitable waiver request for the sideline.
So how do we know where we are in regards to the equitable favor at this point?
The equitable
In order to not increase the timeline delay any longer than it already is.
Two separate things, you can't
Yeah.
get variance from the lot line?
That basically what it comes down to, they are two separate things in the law. The criteria that we have to use to decide whether you're entitled to an equitable waiver or if you're entitled to a variance, there are different criteria that we look at. There's a whole different set of questions that we have to answer about what would justify either an equitable waiver or a variance.
Can we have that conversation tonight since we're all here, since we can't
No.
proceed any further with the wetlands piece?
We can talk in generalities about what the criteria are for a variance. But in order to do that, it has to be at an advertised public hearing for that particular application.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
What, Jim? I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say that at this point, because the planning board has taken away the requirement for public hearings for lot line adjustments, I'll double check, but I believe they could get a lot line adjustment before this board meets again.
Okay.
I would double check that.
Yeah, but and that would solve one of the two problems.
Correct.
If they go to the planning board to get a lot line adjustment, that takes care of the side yard issue. There's still the issue with the wetlands, which again, it comes down to, you know, we would have to look at the criteria for an equitable waiver, and if they don't qualify for an equitable waiver, they would have to apply for variance for the wetlands.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Trish.
Okay, so based on that, and based on that everyone's here, and we're here, and we have, like Roger said, multiple categories, unfortunately, thank live free or die state, couldn't we at least address the wetland setbacks, or do we want to wait till we have the soil, all the paperwork that he needs before we do that? Because it seems to me we could do this if we had had all the paperwork.
Yeah.
We could do this piece, but we don't have it all, correct? Okay. Sorry.
It could be all good.
It could be all good, great, I know.
Without knowing.
So that's too bad that we don't have the soil results, because we could take care of this public hearing right here and now, but we absolutely don't have it,
My
correct?
question is, are we happy with the two sets of plans that don't match?
I would say no, but,
Yeah.
but that's not part of this, that's not part of this hearing,
Right.
this.
That is.
The wetlands.
That is the,
The wetland part.
Oh, the wetland, okay.
Yeah.
I take that back.
Yeah.
Blonde senior moment, okay. Okay.
I'm just trying to be proactive for Mr. Ferrara. So we know he has to revise the plans because the engineer obviously made errors again. So we can't have him update those plans until we know if the lot line adjustment can be approved or not, or if we get said, whatever the terminology you use, here's your free pass, whatever. So if we, depending upon which route that goes, that's going to change the plans as well. So we can't have the surveyor update those plans until we have determination of what the actual distance is, correct? Because then you come back and say, well, you know, this plan says you're 12 feet away, but now you have a variance that says 15 feet away. Your plans don't match actuals, which is what we're doing right now.
Right, if you're choosing to do a lot line adjustment, what you would need to do.
I'm not saying we're choosing that. I'm asking what is the easiest, quickest solution for an easy problem?
What I'm
To
saying,
get rid of one of the two issues.
If you choose to go that route, and that might be the easiest route to go.
Okay.
If you choose to go that route, probably the first thing you need to do is to talk to the land surveyor to get a plan for the lot line adjustment.
Oh, well,
Oh, yeah. Over there. That's the old one.
it could be on
Yeah.
that one. That one you were looking at.
What I was going to suggest is that the
Oh, we saw.
lot line adjustment is not affecting the rear line where the wetlands are.
Correct. two totally separate issues, which the lot line, to me, should be an easy, quick fix.
What the,
What is the best solution? Because you're the experts. You do this all the time. When you run into this before, what have others done to make the process easier?
Well,
Because this is not an easy process, as we're finding out.
It's not an easy process, and actually, your situation is relatively unique. But in terms of the sideline, the side yard piece,
Yeah.
yes, the easiest, quickest solution is a lot line adjustment.
Okay, so,
So that is, you're gonna need.
so in order for us to not delay this any further, if we opted to do a lot line adjustment, we would have to get it approved from the whoever.
Planning board.
From the planning board, and then get it to this gentleman so he can get it to you in advance, and then get it to the surveyor to update the plans that he has to update anyways. That's what you're saying? Because now the lot line adjustment, if they're gonna adjust it, then your plans are not gonna be right with the distances on the
if I
lot
can
line.
finish what I was starting to say earlier,
Okay.
if they go for the lot line adjustment, they will then have a plan that they should be able to transpose that information onto.
Right. Because now you're just changing a number.
The lot line adjustment is the easier way to go to take care of the side yard. Once they have the drawing for the lot line adjustment and they transpose all of this information onto it, you have the plan that the ZBA needs.
Okay,
Because that lot line adjustment plan, even if it hasn't been recorded yet, is intended to be recorded once the planning board chair signs off on it. I believe that this August body would look at it and go, okay, yeah, they're doing that. I can't picture a reason that the planning board could come up with to deny a lot line adjustment.
And the other thing is, if they get the lot line adjustment, that whole question disappears from our plate.
Exactly.
Then the only thing we talk about is how far they are from the wetlands.
Right. And that would require an equitable waiver.
Right.
You can't give them a variance. That would require, I believe, an equitable.
If they applied for a variance, we could consider one.
I thought wetland
work with
variances
it.
are under the planning board jurisdiction.
What?
I thought wetland variances are under the planning board.
The planning board does not give variances.
They give waivers. If you remember the large parcel that had 42 variance requests, they removed the ones about wetland setbacks.
Brought up the plan.
They removed the ones that were wetland setbacks because those wetland, that work was for something that did not require a building permit.
Okay.
Because they were for the roads.
That's
For-
right.
For a application that requires a building permit to put in a house, that is a variance, not a waiver, and that's
Okay.
the zoning board.
Okay. Thank you for refreshing.
For my own sanity, our side setbacks are 25 feet
Yes.
Yes.
down. So in reality, we're talking about a 2-foot.
No. We're not talking, we're
Well,
talking about a 7 or
There's a
8 foot.
bulkhead there, right?
He's 17
17.
feet, so.
And that's why I asked for my own sanity.
Right.
So we're talking 8 feet.
Yeah,
I can work with the applicant tomorrow and go over all the possibilities.
okay.
I apologize if I said 2 feet, I wasn't sure the exact dimension.
No,
I was
no,
just-
that wasn't,
I
this
was just
for-
making a general statement on
I
it.
saw these briefly, they went that way, and I was just in my head trying to figure out numbers, and I just
I
wanted to
haven't
know.
even seen the latest version, I'm at a loss. I do have a general question, though, just for my own understanding, and I think for all our understandings. If he had the soil scientist come out, which he did, and he did his little plug in the ground, and he went and he marked where the actual edge of the wetlands are, what is this report going to tell you that you don't already know, that you can't already make a decision on, I guess is our question.
Basically, the report's going to say that he is certifying that he did that.
Right, we need that.
Couldn't he just stamp his
And
plan?
that would be fine if he
So
stamped, but he
that
didn't.
is technically a soil sample. The terminology is throwing us off.
The problem is that it doesn't show that he did it.
Okay, and again, that's, the terminology is where we're getting confused.
Yeah,
So
if he did it,
if
then
he
we
has a-
need
if he
a piece of paper
stamps-
from him with the stamp on it.
Or, correct me if I'm wrong, if he had his own stamp on this plan,
yeah, right,
that
right.
would work as well.
And that is this, okay. We're thinking it's some report that has to be shipped out and
no.
you get all this data, to me, that's a report, not a stamped,
So what
We need a stamped plan,
Yeah.
but with the right kind of stamp.
yeah, so we have a land surveyor stamp, which is good on this, but what we don't
Correct.
have is a soil scientist stamp as well.
Yeah, okay.
And that was, if I recall, that's where all these markings.
Which
is
would make
what-
sense,
and
it
the-
just,
And the pink things that you saw when you came out.
Right, when we came out.
this is where the frustration of bureaucracy comes in, where it's like, if he just had the right damn stamp.
So he lives across from the junction, I'll be back in 10 minutes. So you just want, after we get the figures.
We just need to know that,
match, so that they all match
Right.
with the corresponding dates.
we need somebody to
You need this
put something
stamped
on
by
this that
the-
verifies
this,
that he's qualified to
He's
mock this
qualified to
out.
create this.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
that's it.
And he has, that person has certification language that goes on the plan. Yeah.
It should be better than a stamp, I would imagine, or some
Yeah,
addition.
he knows what he should do.
Okay.
Is it inappropriate to ask if we get that stamped, well, excuse me, not if, when we get that stamped, and when we get the lot line adjusted or what have you, and we bring you all the updated paperwork and everything else that you want, which I'm gonna ask for a list so I can write it all down so that we can get it to you in 2 weeks, so you have 2 weeks to review it. Based on that information, do you see any reason why we would not get approved under this situation?
We haven't yet started to address the criteria for a
So, yeah, okay.
equitable waiver. All we basically talked about is collecting the right data.
Okay, so the equitable
Make a
waiver
decision.
is equitable waiver for, was originally the lot line, but it's also the equitable waiver for the mistakes for the wetland piece.
Right.
Okay. Again, terminology, sometimes it goes
Right,
like
right,
this,
right,
I
right,
just,
right,
I want to get clarification so that we have multiple ears saying, okay, this is what I heard, this is what you heard, because we don't do this on a daily basis,
Because
so.
you came in and asked for 2 equitable waivers.
Correct.
And we talked about, one of them is for the side yard.
Yep, which we sidebarred because you gave us a quick hearing and we
now
appreciate
the other
that.
one is with the wetlands.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
and we've,
Give a pen.
Am I wrong in that the criteria that we judge on is on the application that he fills out?
Yes.
Great. So to further answer the question of like where you stand on the application, that's, the criteria is listed on the application and the applicant addresses that
Correct.
criteria. So that's what
Which
we
was
would-
the application that
once
was
we
already
have this,
submitted.
Then we discuss that. So just in case you want to like refer back to that application, you can see what we have to look at and take into consideration to make this decision.
Sure, I mean,
have
it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, it was a unforeseen human mistake.
And if you can get the foundation drain on that plan,
Okay, that's the other thing, all right, so, one, we need,
Surveyor that question, he just answered me that.
site
why
scientist
don't you just read it?
to stamp,
Mike is a wetland soil scientist, he does not delineate upland soils. What is that?
scientist to stamp plans.
He does not what?
Delineate.
He doesn't delineate, yeah. don't know.
I
But
can't
he's a
hear him.
wetland soil scientist.
Lives right here across the street from the junction.
Is it Mike?
Yeah,
Oh, I know Mike.
Mike Seacamp.
Okay.
What is that?
Perimeter drain.
Well, he's certainly qualified to stamp and, yeah,
I just asked him why he didn't.
okay,
Oh, now he just said, yes, Mike has a stamp, I suppose you could stamp.
yeah. Yeah. Okay,
All right, so just to recap,
yep.
Go see Mike.
I'm gonna call him and tell him to drive by down here.
do you want us to have brought to the office here so you have an advance notice?
Yes,
Right now, you have 3 documents. You want all the other documents. You want 9 copies of the building permit plan, all the stuff that's already on file, already paid for, already recorded. You want copies of all that so you can go through all of this.
Let
For the
Jim
next
field
meeting.
that question.
I have the building permit application and the inspection sheets.
Okay?
I will make copies of those for the board.
Okay, thank you.
It's all part of a packet.
Sure.
I had explained to Dan that, Mr. Farrar, that he had to give me 9 copies of each one of the plans.
Yep, which we
And-
brought.
When we talked, it was a couple of days after the last meeting, I had said that I needed them by Thursday because the board doesn't accept paperwork and decide on it that night. It's got to be,
Sure, it's
so
understandable.
I didn't put together a packet because
Why would
I
you?
had no plans.
Why would you?
You know, all it was,
No, totally understand. I just want to make sure
So-
that we're prepared not to waste anybody's time.
Yeah.
You know, nor prolong it, but again, not to waste your time. I hate coming unprepared, and I want to make sure that we're prepared.
I have one question for the board. Should they get a stamp on one of this particular plan that we're looking at with the wetlands? Because that's the only change that we would need for this plan, is that accurate?
yes, we want the stamp on that one. And the-
Should he get a stamp? We already have 9 copies. He gets 1 copy with the stamp on it.
yeah.
I
that-
would say
Right,
we,
as long as they're all.
That comes to me, that's why,
The copy that I have at home to study before the meeting,
yeah.
yeah, it doesn't physically have to have the stamp on it as long as
Somebody-
he has a
yeah.
copy of it.
And I'm just saying, because he's already got 9 of these,
Right.
and it's all we're doing is adding a stamp, but I just want to make sure that everybody was on the same page.
As long as the copy that has the
Files.
stamp on it is identical to
This.
the one we have.
So
we don't
the
need
only
more.
other question I have, so if we know that, and we'll verify with whatever the name of the engineer is, which dimensions are the actuals because they're discrepancies, do we even need 3 copies, or do you want just, this is what we actually have? Because I think the only thing you would really care about is what you have. This is what we applied for, which you'll have that, in that paperwork. And now this is what we have now, including the wetlands. Anything in between, I would think, is moot at this point, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I want the originals. The
Yeah,
original
which is on
originals,
file.
And
And then the actual we have
The
now.
stuff in between is confusion.
Okay,
Although that one has to be corrected to do
Well, I'm saying,
foundation
we
drain.
want-
Okay,
Yeah,
Yes.
but we don't need that one anymore, we just need the corrected one of that.
yes, correct, yes.
the corrected one showing the foundation location, the septic
pipe.
location, the drain pipe.
Right.
Mention that there's the interior perimeter drain and the wetland locations. If those 4 items are on one piece of, 9 versions of one piece of paper,
9
that's all
copies
you,
of one.
9 copies, copies. That's all you really care about. You don't need everything else to be matched, because we have original and we have final. So you just want the final version to include all the information stamped.
Yep.
Okay, that's easy.
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
And if this is inappropriate, just tell me, I can't ask this question. But when we were walking on the property, conservation walking on the property, there was another well in the back of the property on the far right. Is that the well that's on here, or is that another well, and has that been capped?
My grandfather was gonna build a house there.
I remember.
Back in the 70s.
Yes.
And he just put a dug well there. It's nothing but an empty cement shell. You can have it if you want.
Oh, gee, thanks.
That should be on that septic plan. That should be on the septic plan.
I was gonna yank it out of the ground, just crush it. It's just a piece of cement. It's actually doing nothing.
You saw something.
Yeah, we saw the well, the cement well.
Looks like a well, but
Right. Well, that should be on that plan, and they should be abandoned. It should be abandoned and filled in.
Filled, right.
The septic plan should give you all that information.
Just because down the road, they want to make sure it's not going to turn into a sinkhole,
So
you know,
Or the kids playing
or the
on it.
kids, God forbid we lose a
Like
child.
So you want it,
Like
you
my
want it
front
added
yard.
to the plan,
Well, the septic designer should have saw it.
Right. I mean, it was easy for us to see.
you can see what we're dealing with, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know.
All right,
it's
so
just-
add dug well to septic design, and he would need to comment that it's gonna be back,
It's
I
gonna
would
be
imagine it's gonna be,
abandoned,
it's
filled in.
abandoned.
it's been there for 50 years.
Yeah, that's what we heard. Yeah.
Can we just fill it in?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it should be on the septic, abandon and fill in.
Right. As long as it's
way you
there,
know it's
with the
done and-
comment, you're abandoning it and filling it in. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have any other questions?
I'm just on processing, I just trying to do the timeline through my head on what we have to do first. Because we can't give you a finished plan with a lot line dimension until we have a lot line. So we probably have to get the variant, or do the lot line adjustment first, then get the surveyor again to actually redo the survey. He said, but that can be recorded later. And then have them add the septic, the design with the well, abandoned well, with the wetlands, with the exact location of the foundation, the exact location of the well, septic, stamped by the gentleman over here in Newton,
And the guy who already did it.
and the surveyor himself. So two
both of
stamps,
them, yeah.
9 copies of that one page. So we have to get the lot line first and then get you a final copy, adding, okay, so stamp
It's
the
the same
plan. And the plan to include the perimeter drain, as you requested. I have measurements for what? Oh, no, we don't need that anymore. I'm only gonna do one plan. Add the dug well to the septic design to be filled, abandoned. Can you think of anything else that we're missing so that we're not
I mean,
unprepared?
you might just be able to get away, and I don't know this, but you might just be able to get away with proposed lot line adjustment, and then just knock it out with one plan. Because then he has the original lot line and the proposed lot line adjustment. So whether he goes for the lot line or not, he has a plan that,
We could do that.
just saying to save him
We could do that,
trips.
and he's, what that would end up doing is he couldn't get his building permit until the planning board approves the lot line.
unless we granted his equitable waiver without the lot line.
It should be, you can't get your occupancy until everything is done.
Yeah.
However,
Which brings me back to my original question was, what does it entail to get the equity waiver for the lot line?
No,
Can we get that out of the way so that
No,
that
but
doesn't stop anything else?
If you're going to do a lot line adjustment, then
But what if he
that
wasn't?
takes care of everything about the side yard.
Right, but
That makes
but
it-
like you said, that's going to create issues down the road.
No, it doesn't create any issues down the road in the sense of, it's, as long as there's appropriate frontage of the house and your house is far enough away, there should be no reason for the planning board to object to,
And the lot you're
Doing
taking
the
it
lot line
from is over 60,000 square feet, right?
yes.
Yeah, so it
yeah,
should be no problem.
so you're not creating any
new lot.
But if we had to wait for the decision on the equitable,
No,
whatever the terminology is, that's going to create another month's delay, is what you're saying.
No, that's what Mr. Sylvia was saying. Basically, if you apply to the planning board, then you don't have to wait for their approval before you come back here.
Right.
The only thing you have to wait for from the planning board, the only thing you can't do is you can't get a building permit until the planning board approves it. So that isn't going to slow you down at all.
Right now,
Just trying to weigh out the difference between having to pay the surveyor another fee to redo the plan when we're looking for a 6-foot, or whatever it is. I'm gonna call it waiver. I can never remember the term. I'm gonna write it down. Equitable what?
Waiver.
It's an equitable waiver.
I mean, if I could speak as a guy that is not a big fan of engineers, and it's not a hidden fact at all.
Kinda
And
like
I
me
would
with
say that this
realtors.
kind of falls in that line. I would say to him, I'm not paying you because you screwed this up. You knew what I needed. You gave me the wrong thing. Give me the right thing. Point blank, period. That's what I would do. A lot. I wouldn't be as nice as that, though. But I'm also not a big fan of engineers. I deal with them daily.
Sure, I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's brutal.
But to go back to the lot line again, that, to me,
Can I pause
the lot
you?
line adjustment's really not his, I'm sorry, go
Can I
ahead.
pause you for 1 second?
Absolutely.
Right now, what is this equitable waiver for? Because I completely forget after all this, to be honest with you. So I'd just like to be rephrased.
They've requested 2 equitable waivers.
Okay.
One is because they don't have 25 feet between the
side.
building and the side yard.
Okay, got it.
The other is they are building within a disturbing area within 50 feet of the wetland.
Okay, got it. I just want to make sure that I remember.
Problem one, or issue one is the equitable waiver request is for the lot line and because we're within 50 feet. So I guess I'll ask the question again. The equitable waiver piece, that would have to be a 2-step piece to go through you folks on this?
No, the equitable,
We're in the process.
The request, the application that we have before us is for 2 equitable waivers.
Correct.
And, I mean, if we grant them, then your problem goes away.
I totally understand the wetland things. I mean, if you don't have enough information to make a decision, totally get it. You know, I'm not going to fault anybody for that. The equitable waiver for the lot line on our property, I'm not understanding what is the big to-do or what else is needed to make a decision that we're going to allow them to encroach within 7 feet of our property line.
We have the data, we just gonna need to look at the criteria.
Okay.
So we do have 2 separate, so we could rule on one but not the other one?
Right, but if I recall, this
Well,
meeting was
yeah,
more
but
for the
we're not gonna
wetland
close
piece.
half a public hearing. The public hearing is covering both
Well,
issues.
that's kind of what I was getting at,
I figured that.
you know.
I'm just trying to get more off of our list so that we can, you know, satisfy you and so that they can move on.
And I think that's what Mr. Sylvia's getting at too, so that, you know, we're all not beating our head against the wall and you come back every month so
Well, that's the thing,
celebrate
and that's why
Christmas together.
I'm trying to help.
I started on that side of the table, so
Yeah.
I
I know where you're coming
empathize.
from.
I empathize.
Yes. Mr. Ferrara, do you want to ask a question? You need to take the mic. Oh,
I just want to ask if it's okay if I have Mike, if I get a hold of Mike, can he come down and stamp that? Or do I have to
You have to have the plans fixed.
We haven't had time to look at everything.
Yeah, we haven't.
Unfortunately, we just didn't, we don't have
I
time.
wish we had it all.
Yeah.
I wish we had everything in front of us.
Oh, all right, so he needs
Because I would be
to-
so happy
I
to
got
help.
you.
If we got this last Thursday,
I got you.
then we could have them come down, stamp it, and everything
Right.
would be
Yeah.
correct.
I got you.
It all has to be fixed anyways.
Right. No,
Yep. But thank you.
So I think if you go to the planning board and get the lot line adjustment, that takes care of the huge problem with the lot line. And then you're just gonna come back to us looking for the equitable waiver for the wetlands. That's it.
I have one more question about this application. Should he meet the criteria for one and not the other? Do both of them, they're separate applications?
right.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure
I
that,
mean, I would think, I'm just assuming, they're separate.
No, the application is on one.
Well, there's one piece of
Because,
paper.
right, well,
we're gonna-
But they are,
We are going to have to vote on them
two separate
Separately.
criterias.
Right.
That's
So
what
here's
I
to
wanted
Mr. Silver's point.
it's-
If we pay a surveyor to come out and do a lot line adjustment, which is gonna cost a fee, which I know is not your problem, it's ours, and then you don't approve us for the wetlands, we just did a lot line adjustment for a foundation that we're not even gonna be able to use.
And that,
And I get, it's our problem, not yours, which brings me back again to the equitable waiver on the lot line adjustments, you know.
but again, and Mr. Sylvia makes a good point. Thinking of it in those terms, and because it's, I think, highly likely that the equitable waiver decision will be the same for both of them, whatever they are. They'll either, at this point, we would either
Okay.
approve both of them or would deny both of them, because the facts that we're going to be considering
Are the same facts.
the same facts.
Agreed.
Enough said.
So yeah.
So we just need to get our ducks in a row.
Yeah, so saying that you probably are better off,
I would pump the
Coming back
brakes
next-
and close out one issue before you open up another issue, speaking as both a board member and
Yeah,
somebody that's been on that side of the table.
Get you an accurate, stamped, final, as it sits, plan with all the requirements on it.
And let us decide next month whether to grant the equitable waiver. If we grant it, you're all set. If we don't grant it, then one of the things that you could do is do a lot line adjustment to take that off the table and request
come
a
back.
variance
but
for
just
the wetlands.
Wetlands, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be, that's probably the most efficient way to resolve the issues that we've got before us.
I
Based on
believe
where
I
we are.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah, that would be one meeting, and that we wouldn't have to worry about it. Then if we did deny it, they could go back. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
All right, I believe I now have a firm understanding of what is needed for us to get to here in 2 weeks, so you have time to review it.
Exactly.
And I think what you might want to do is, again, look at the application, look at the criteria that we're going to consider, and you might want to expand on your explanation of why it should be granted.
Consider it done.
Because that's basically what, after we get the data that we need, that's basically what we're going to be talking about is, you know,
I feel like the Lincoln Lawyer right now.
the what?
You ever watch Joe the Lincoln Lawyer?
No.
So it's just started watching. I just thought it was kind of humorous.
You're just starting now? Hey, better
We're
late
playing
than
catch
never,
up.
I guess. Yeah.
I think the only thing that will hold up a public meeting next month will be if we're missing any information.
Well, I don't think we can hold up anymore.
Yeah.
Correct?
Right?
Well, yeah.
60
So really,
days.
the only thing that you're missing is the final plan with
basically-
all the information that's on it that's missing,
Yeah.
which seems to be a little more than we thought.
Yeah.
Stamped,
And I
9
think-
copies.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, if you know, if you have further questions about, you know, Jim's a pretty good at steering you in the right direction.
Dan said he's been awesome.
What's that?
Dan said he's been awesome to help.
So he's definitely an asset. If
For Mr. Sylvia, you are right. The board has to make a decision at the next meeting
at the next meeting.
unless the applicant specifically in writing requests a continuance.
So that being said, if you're having an issue getting this by the 28th of August?
The 28th is when board packets would normally go out. If I get the information earlier, I will send it out earlier.
Perfect. So if you're foreseeing a problem, say a week before the 28th,
I'm gonna say the 25th
you're
is
gonna
our
want to
deadline.
reach out to Jim and have a conversation with him to figure out where we are.
I'll take a day off and get this shit stamped myself if I have to.
I'll take the stamp test.
I'll Google that stuff.
I know that feeling.
All right, so again, I just want a quick recap on the plan, because this is the big thing. The scientist to stamp it with his wetland markings, the plan to include the perimeter drain, that's not on there now, as well as the foundation drain, because, well, that's the same thing.
It's the same,
Same thing,
yeah.
sorry, I was thinking
Yep,
something
okay.
else. The measurements, to make sure that those are the accurate final measurements. Accurate, final, as it sits. The septic to be on there, as well as a comment on the abandoned well on the same plan for the septic. A dug well, septic designed to be filled, and then we'll just we'll re-review our application just to make sure that we are that's filled out properly. And 9 copies of that said plan, at least one with a stamp for the office. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
So I just want to make sure, because this poor fellow is standing up here, making sure that we're all on the same page. We don't know what Jim has, so I'm looking to you.
My list is the same as that.
I just
It's
want to make sure.
accurate measurements,
Okay.
soil scientist stamp, corrected plans with certain other things, the possibility of the LLA for the side yard. The old well has to be on the plan, along with the drainage and an expanded explanation of criteria.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
And also, you already have all of the original plans for the foundation.
Yes, however, I don't have a large sheet. I have the same thing that you have, it's the 8.5 by 11.
If you need me to talk, we'll talk after.
Yep.
I have a magnifying glass.
Excuse me?
I have a magnifying glass.
Okay.
Okay.
I have no other questions. Thank you so much. I appreciate the clarity on all this.
I'm Robert Ferrara, Dan's uncle. I live at 43 Country Pond Road, but I also own land jointly with Dan on the other side of where he wants to build. I'm still a little bit unclear of this equitable waiver thing. How is it different from a variance? I mean, like years ago, if there was an encroachment on somebody's property, I know you'd send out a letter to all the abutters, which I thought that was the letter that I was getting. And it didn't even mention the encroachment on the property, but all the abutters would get a letter, come to the board meeting. If nobody had an objection, you just sign off on it and the variance was done. I mean, how has things changed so much?
Well, the laws have changed over the years, and now to get a variance, there are 5 criteria that the board must consider. And the applicant has to meet all 5 of those criteria in order to get a variance.
So what are the criteria?
It has to be, okay,
Do you want criteria for an equitable waiver or
no,
for a
he
variance?
wants, first of all, the criteria for a variance.
For variance, there
Why,
are five.
it seems kind of
actually,
crazy that you're making him do a lot line adjustment. He's got to pay a surveyor when the abutter is right here and they're agreeing to it.
He's not doing one of those now.
And the criteria are different from a variance to an equitable waiver. They're different criteria. So correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, when he came to you,
I directed him towards the equitable waiver because the foundation is already in the ground.
correct, whereas a variance would be more of, I want to do this, it's going to be this, can I do this? This is, I was supposed to do this, this happened.
So after it's all said and done, it's got to be the equitable waiver. Is that the difference?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That clears that
Very
up
good.
then.
Yeah, forgiveness, not permission, correct,
All right, that clears that up. Thank you.
essentially.
Anything else?
I'm thirsty.
So is everybody clear on what's going next? Does anybody on the board have any questions, comments? Make a motion that we continue the public hearing to September
6th. Yeah.
Second.
Somebody want to move it? Oh,
Thank you, Mr.
I
Gibbs.
did, Frank seconded.
And
Jim, would
since
you poll
everybody's
the board,
present,
please?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Next on the agenda, acceptance of minutes for 7/5/23. Has everybody had a chance to read them?
Making a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay.
Jim, has the change that you said you were going to make been made?
Yes, that one word, I did go back and listen. The person who made the motion did use the word joint. However, it really should be combined.
Second,
Did you just second?
yes.
Jim, would you poll the board, please?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
That's unanimous.
Adjourn the meeting at 8:12 PM.
You got,
Is there an escrow?
Because I assume there is no escrow, even though it was on the agenda, but we never got one.
No, that's